Hello, welcome. This is Lan Jensen, the founder and CEO of nonprofit Cybertrust America. This is great that we have a chance to share some projects that the nonprofit has done in the past 2 years. And these projects are able to help local governments do their planning based on their nationwide cybersecurity review, which, as you know, has been a prerequisite for any local government to receive DHS funding since 2019. So our team was able to enable a local government to utilize that NCSR to plan for and receive the funding from their budget authorizing agencies. And then on the other hand, also enables their CIO and Chief Information Security Officer team to have a roadmap. So that is one of the use cases that our nonprofit was able to accomplish. Another one is a project that actually enables local governments to take cybersecurity up as a team together, therefore to improve their collective cyber risk postures at scale. So without further ado, let me pause for a little bit, and bring out our use case, which, by the way, is shared also at the NIST GCTC website. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see my deck about the nonprofit doing a risk posture planning based on their nationwide cyber security review. And these local government's data is anonymized, as well as later on the actual report. So let's dive into it. Now, at the get-go, I should say that the local government received two important outputs from this project. One, they received a presentation deck that they can directly present to their budget authorizing bodies in the local government. And then two, they also received a roadmap with complete metrics and project plan, the whole thing, so that their CIO's office and the Chief Information Security Officer could readily engage the team to deliver. So bear that in mind, and this is how this deck is an example of what they can present to their budgeting authorities. And by the way, this logo is the older name of our nonprofit. It has been updated to Cybertrust America since. So this initially referenced a very well-known, if you recall, cyber attack at that time, very painful also, that brought the whole county, Imperial County, down out of service for a number of days. And they also, they did not pay the ransom, but they had to still endure the cost of restoring the services and also getting devices, for example, spending more on getting back up on their feet. So as you can see from the timeline, altogether full restoration took them about 2 to 3 months. And so the local government, the non-professional people could easily understand that dire situation, and they don't want to repeat that. So now the CIO or CISO can say, hey, this is the situation in their county situation. This is a metric, and you can see why they got brought down by the cyber attack. Because based on the nationwide cybersecurity review, this typo is not national, it's nationwide. So this is where their posture is not meeting the minimum recommended posture of scoring a score of 5. So every NIST cybersecurity framework domains, identify, protest, detect, respond, and recover, is under that minimum recommended level. So hence, no wonder they have a difficult time defending against the cyber attack, and also took them that long to recover. Now, our own city or county, how are we in comparison to that imperial county? So it turns out that this local government is faring better in pretty much all of these 5 domains in comparison to the imperial county. However, every domain still is not reaching the recommended minimum posture level either. So now, what do we do? If we don't do anything, likely the story of Imperial County will repeat itself in our county or city. Now, if we don't want to repeat their route, what do we do? So this is the posture that we have today in the orange. And at the national level, so national peers posture is red. So you can see even our city or county is doing better than the national average still. There are ways we can do to promote the posture to meet the recommended bare minimum level. So below, this is what the team can do to bring it up. And it is entirely aligned to the city or county's shared vision also. So now, based on that county or city's vision, and based on where we are at, this is the proposed strategy to take the security posture to the next level. And so now bringing back to the 5 domains per the NIST cybersecurity framework. And this is the recommended priorities to get us there in 2 years. So the posture now is in this orange. These 15 controls are identified as much below the required or desired levels. And if we do something about them, we could yield much drastic improvements in 2 years. And so this is where the opportunities lie. One, we can get the smart and secure together. And 2, we will be able to be in the know as things happen. So in our cybersecurity parlance, that's the monitoring piece. And C, at the ready, That, in our language, that is the recovery, response, and recovery. But you can see that this displays in common English so that the budgeting officers and the leaders understand this picture very well. And the cost estimate is displayed as well. By the way, all of this is mumbled up to protect the local government's security and strategy. So down below, this is where the nationwide cybersecurity review, annual review, is put into place. And you can see that it also takes into consideration this local government's current results that they have seen in 1 year's time. So that is reflected in that relevance column. And then a score is reached at by using the commonly accepted risk calculation formula. Risk is the threat factor multiplied by the vulnerability itself, multiplied by the likelihood or relevance, and the impact if it's realized. So as you can see, it's pretty rigorous based on that local government's actual observation and intelligence. And then the next steps are looked at, those 15 risks. And then the whole local government will be able to utilize this best planning. At that time, this is referencing a guidebook offered by NIST, GCTC, a group. At that time, its name is CPAC, and it has since changed to Smart Security and Privacy, SSP. So you can see that this rigorous approach not only covered the cybersecurity and privacy considerations, but also goes far beyond. It enables the whole local government's posture from being a cost center to becoming a strategic enabler of that local government's vision, and that decision makers can relate to. And then it also enhances the cross-coordination and communication, early resource planning, touches on all the related departments, coordination with procurement, contractual, supply chain departments, and technical and IoT specific, because smart cities, right, we're talking about. So all of those considerations are built in. And lastly, the legal and liability considerations are all considered so that the outcome of this project is going to be that much more forward-thinking and laying a solid foundation for the local government's cyber risk posture, not only for today, but also a strategic, not going to be thrown away importance into the future. So this is the strategic initiative, and the local government got also very tangible down below. You can see that tangible outputs that the CIO and CISO's office can take on and start implementing as soon as they receive the approved funding. So this is the monitoring, and each quarter there is a way to monitor it, and the success measures also is very widespread. It looks at the project implementation within the department, as well as reaches out to the entire local government, say the visibility of it, and also the confidence of the stakeholders. So this, in the end, will build up a security and a risk-based culture. So that is how that initiative was able to help a local government do their multi-year planning towards a desired cyber risk posture. So I'm going to pause now and see if any questions are there, so we can have a little conversation. Oh, right. Oh, Li Hang, that's great. About the, yes, GCTC at the Purdue University virtual session. Oh, perfect. That kind of collaboration, indeed, Li, is what we will continue to do. Hopefully, further collaboration will come out of that, because the Purdue University is leading a very powerful, robust, smart communities initiative over there. So if you have any questions, go ahead, either ask it in the question column or just type it out in the chat window. And meanwhile, I will start thinking about the regional cybersecurity governance model project. Some of you may have heard from the earlier breakout session with Professor Lee McKnight, Allison, and George Thomas. Those three leaders have already accomplished some regional cybersecurity initiatives. Yes, yeah, the question about Imperial County, indeed, is in Southern California. So now on to the regional cybersecurity initiative. As earlier, pretty much all the sessions leaders mentioned about the huge need on the ground, and yet not enough resources, both in terms of dollars and also expertise or trained, experienced professionals. So it's, if you look at the gaps, sometimes it can feel very daunting because the gaps don't seem to narrow down over the past couple of years. So now many leaders have been thinking about trying new approaches. They know that, as Einstein said, if you the definition of insanity is that you keep on trying the same thing, expecting different outcomes, right? So cybersecurity has been an issue for the past 2 decades, and it continues to grow. And the scale continues to be tipped in the cyber criminals' favor. And so now we've got to do something different. And one thing for the local governments to do differently is that the local governments are discussing ways to collaborate. So they have been collaborating among their own jurisdictions. Later on in the next panel, the mayor's panel, you will hear the leaders discuss such. But now many have also realized that, hey, if we across jurisdictional boundaries. We pool our resources together. How about the increased output benefit with the so-called you double the benefits while halving the cost? So is that something that we could try? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Lee. And so, well, later on, maybe our replay can help narrow the gaps of our presentation, Lee. Thanks for staying on with us here. And so in the San Francisco Bay Area, the government leaders indeed have come together. And it is a funded project, and so I will not touch on it too much. Suffice it to say that these local governments are hoping to pilot a financially sustainable model that can continue on, rather than just an ad hoc project that will get done in a year and then goes away in the future. Yep. Arizona is a very active area. They have very outspoken leaders there that we had them speak at our event before. So I would think that in the future more will come into our event, and I invite you to stay in touch with us, Lee. And even also, if you have best practices or innovations jointly with Arizona, I welcome you to get in touch so that we could invite you to come and share your experiences as well. So now on the regional cybersecurity approaches. So in the United States, I think in other countries, and later on, maybe we could also bring some examples forward. One of our partners, Global Cyber Alliance, has such engagements with, say, Singapore, for example. So that is also a live, pretty recent announcement that they are working together on monitoring IoT ecosystem. And so I plug in maybe for the future that we will be hearing from them soon. But for another regional cybersecurity initiative in the US, I can share a little bit, is in the greater Washington, D.C. area. And the leaders there, also because they're so close to the capital. So the CISA actually has a stake in it. So they were able to also help the greater Washington, D.C. area to establish some best practices and some regional plans towards a better cybersecurity protection. So in the earlier breakout session, one of the leaders, George Thomas, actually explained or touched on the initiative that he has been leading towards that. I see our attendees indeed come from all over the world. This is, like many people also have said, that the efforts so far have not worked enough yet. So maybe a impactful next step is for our cybersecurity community to collaborate more closely across country borders. And so, yeah, that's my sharing. As you can see, even this regional approach, I think is going to grow much more at a scale in the United States. And if you know of examples in other places in the world, please do let me know in the chat, and we can bring all of them under the light for more people to learn from next year. So this is a newer approach. Only by spreading the word to more leaders and people will we see the impact of it. So let's all keep up and speak up wherever you go, please. And together we can move the needle. Lastly, maybe I can also share a little bit about the nonprofits' efforts beyond just the local governments. So tomorrow, this event will be focused on strengthening the small businesses in the United States. So maybe other economies might be different, but in the United States, there has always been a saying that the backbone of the U.S. economy is not those mega businesses or transnational companies, but rather the small and medium-sized businesses. There are millions of them. And as we know it, if the small businesses are not adequately protected, they become the money bag for the cyber criminals. And guess what? They can easily attack the underprotected small businesses, and they have a continuous financial funds to then launch attacks against larger targets, such as our governments and even larger enterprises. As some of you may recall, the IoT attack, and that brought down even large companies such as Amazon and Netflix. So we know that we are in this together, truly. So then for tomorrow's whole day event, we will have small business owners who actually have gotten help from our nonprofit since summer 2020 to go digital, to go online with security baked in. So hopefully those will serve as inspiration for more small businesses. Now I see a question about CISA working with the state. That's a great question. That's one of the questions that we are going to get some further clarification from the Deputy Director of CISA, Nitin Natarajan, because that question will be best answered by them. But for now, Hang, I will answer based on what I know from working with them for so many years. CISA has regional centers, and so they are called regional advisors. So in a region, say in California, a regional advisor will be able to provide guidance and help to California and some neighboring states. And those advisors can be the linkage between the states in that region and any services that the local governments need. This security advisor can take notice of it and then try to arrange for the resources to be provided to the state and local governments such as the cities and counties. So I know of some counties that have been helped in cybersecurity risk assessment, in even penetration tests. The only downside is that those services, it's first come, first served. So one time I heard that the waiting list is several years down the line, especially for the highly in demand services such as penetration tests. So that's one example. Han, I hope that answered your question. Another example, I think maybe that the CISA has a department that's called external stakeholders engagement. And that department, as I understand it, is available to facilitate the connections between different stakeholders. So for example, our nonprofit then could be also looped in to support local governments, states, cities, and counties. So that's another way that CISA can help by being a convening body and convening authority to invite all parties together to sit at the table. So I'm reading your Hans' next comment here. Indeed, yep, many private sectors providing cybersecurity courses based on CISA information. Okay. Yes, to foreign city mayors. Okay, through your nonprofit for educational purposes. Yes, definitely. And that, Han, I'm not sure if you heard the earlier announcement by Maxwell School, the director of the executive education, Steve, came on to announce that they are going to launch a certificate program to enable city county leaders to do their smart cities with trust built in. And so we are a collaborator with the school, and the certificate program is going to launch early 2022. Excellent. So let me know. I think we posted that registration link earlier. If you'd like to have it, I can post it here for you, Han. So check it out. Also, in case it did not come through earlier, the Maxwell School is ranked #1 public policy program in the United States. So many people know about Harvard University, and their Kennedy School for their public policy. But Maxwell School actually is ranked 2 places before Kennedy School. So it's #1. And we are very excited to be launching this jointly with them. And then we could, if you are part of that certificate program, then you could potentially work with us together to customize a similar program for your target leaders. All right. At this point, I'd like to conclude our session for our Expo booth. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Also, our Expo session tomorrow will be focused on small businesses. So see you again. Have a great rest of the day.